And now I'd like to tell you about my mission trip to Kenya and Rwanda. Karibu means welcome. So I felt so welcomed by brothers and sisters in Kenya. And I was welcomed by Mr. Owiti OJ right when I landed. And that is a friend that I just met through our sister Bethany, which God opened that door. So we had this relationship that formed, and he helped me so much throughout the entire time. He drove me to and everywhere, and he's such a wonderful brother. And he's also going to join the Teachers College, and perhaps he will have a chance to come visit us here in America. But the first place that I went to was Kisumu in Kenya. Again, this was a field where our sister Bethany introduced me to, and there I was able to meet Brother Daniel and a Dr. Rosemary. And they're very much involved with children's ministry, and they're so interested in the work that we're doing, and we want to do some collaboration. So we found some really good prayer topics. First, we're praying for doors to open to train teachers, because they all said that. Bishop Silas and all of them said that the need for training teachers is so great, and that MMC is filling that need right now. But Brother Dan is very special because he has an orphan ministry that he's been doing for so long, and he's doing it independently. So I'm praying that we can somehow support him. And again, he actually enrolled in MMCTC, actually, the Teachers College right now. And many people actually need sponsorships so that they can take these courses. And they're only $29 per course for people who live in Africa. But Kisumu is it's the first time I've ever been there. So it was really exciting to see this new field. Then I went back to Nairobi and I visited the Remnant Vision School in Kitengela, Kenya. This is the school called RVS, has been around for 10 years now. And the last 5 years, they've been using our MMC gospel curriculum. So they worship every day with the same creation and gospel chants that we do here at Sunday school. So I had a chance to lead worship for all the classes. That's 3 times a day. And they are so precious. They are very precious children from age 3 all the way to age 15 or 16. And there are 300 children in this school. And they come from even an hour away on the bus. And so these are precious children. And the new headmaster, his name is Mr. Nelson, he told me that 80-90% of the parents are sending them here for the worship time. That is so important to them. And over the last 5 years, the academic level also has increased. I mean, it just kind of shows the evidences of how the children are really learning more about the Word of God. They find their talents, and God has just blessed this ministry so much. I was able to do a teacher's training for all 20-some of their teachers, and many of them are new, and so they really need gospel rooting. Our prayer topic is for the missionaries there, missionary Jeremiah and Sarah Kim. They've been there for 31 years doing Kenya missions, and so we pray for them, their strength and wisdom. We're praying for the unity of all the teachers and spiritual strength to lead worship. We need more teachers to be able to lead the children in worship. That's not something that anyone can just stand up and do, right? It's a very difficult thing. They need the vision and the mission. They need training. So we're praying for more teachers to enroll in the Teachers College and to sponsor them. So this is a really big field. And not too far away, I was invited to another preschool called the Good Choice Preschool. And the mission, Pastor Mary has started this school 4 years ago. And I remember her prayer topic to me. She asked me to pray for her so that her home will be a daycare center. I prayed with her in her living room. And I said, God, let this be a place where children can really grow in the gospel and be discipled. After 4 years, because I haven't seen them in 4 years, she has a school now with over 100 children. And she told me that this was a huge answer to prayer and that I can stand there and be a witness of that. So these children are so precious. They are coming from low-income homes, and many of them are on scholarship or aren't able to pay either. And so let me just show you a little bit of what we did. They are so precious. I was able to do a 1-hour teacher training with them, the new teachers. And again, their prayer topic is that the teachers can get sponsorships for the teachers' college, and they want to expand because they have kids on their waiting list. This is a school for low income, so it's about half of the tuition of the RVS, because RVS is a private school. This is also private, but they can't afford the $50 a month tuition there, so it's about $10 to $15 a month. But it's such a wonderful thing to see ministry for children, and her daughter, Grace, is already a student at MMTC, so they're praying that her and other teachers would eventually be able to lead the worship, daily worship. Right now, they only do it twice a week. Through Pastor Mary, I was able to meet this politician, Rosemary Kariuki. She's the Minister of Business and Trade, working for the governor of Nairobi. This meeting happened very naturally, but we met together, and she happens to be the daughter of the first Prime Minister of Kenya, a very important person, but she is growing in the gospel, hungry for the message. So they asked me to give her the gospel, and it was just a spirit-filled time. She also has a wonderful heart for children's ministry. So she told me, anything you need, you want to go into a school, you want to hold a conference in Nairobi next year, I'll make it happen. So God is going to work through her. And it's just a wonderful blessing, humbling, but a blessing to meet her. And anyone in Kenya would know her and her family because that's how important he was. But another answer that God gave was something that started from 20 years ago. This is the Kibera slums from 2001. And my first time in Kenya was 1998. And I started doing missions in Africa at that time. And I was translating and doing children's ministry through missionary Jeremiah. And one of the people that I met was Antonina, and that's her on the other side. She was 19 years old when I first met her. And I helped her, I supported her to finish her training in the school. And now we finally got back in touch after almost 20 years from last fall. And God had led her through a lot of things. She's now a pastor leading a ministry called People of the Way International. And she wanted me to lead a training in Nairobi at a public venue for people in our ministry and parents. And so about 30 people got together at this really large church in the middle of the city. And we had a teacher training, parent and teacher training. Her biggest prayer topics is to mobilize parents. If we train parents to do the gospel education for their own children, then we would have less problems in our schools and everywhere. So she's such an important person. And we didn't meet for 20 years, but the connection was still very much there. Her mother is a pastor too, Pastor Regina. They invited me to their home for lunch, and I went there, and I found that they have a huge church building and a school building for troubled teenagers, kids who are on drugs or kicked out, they can't afford regular school. So she trains them, and they have been raised up, it's been over 10 years now, to become workers for youth ministry. So God is working in that ministry, and they are so excited that we can collaborate together. So they are praying also for scholarships for the troubled teens in this slum area, and also church members who want to receive training through Teachers College. But one wonderful blessing that I was able to discover, I got to meet Antonina's 4 children. And I know 14, 12, 6, and 4. And the first daughter, her name is Deborah Pendo. I said, "Your name is Deborah?" And she said, "Yes, I named her after you. And I couldn't find you for 20 years. And so I said, "Oh my gosh, I'm a godmother." I have a daughter now. So excited for this wonderful collaboration that God is going to do through this powerful person. Then I went to Rwanda. After 4 or 5 days, we went to Rwanda, and I went with one of my teachers, Mercy Mugi, who has been teaching at RVS, leading the worship for 5 years. She's moving to a new location, so I thought I'd take her to Rwanda with me. We visited the Emmanuel Church of Rwanda, where Pastor Sedatius and his wife are leading the ministry. It's a very small church, but their main focus is on Sunday school and children's ministry. It is such a blessing to be with them. I gave a message to them, and I was delighted that they had a special song from the children. They wanted to perform for me. So I thought I'd give you a little clip of this Rwandan traditional children's dance. They're so precious. So Shiko was able to give the children's ministry message, and then I gave the lecture, or I gave the worship. And Pastor Sedacious and his wife, they have been receiving a lot of training over the years. You know, they are the ones who firsthand experienced the genocide in 1994. They've lost family members, and they suffered from depression and suicidal thoughts. They ran away to Kenya. And there they met missionary Jeremiah, stayed with him for 10 years, received the gospel, got training, became a pastor, and got sent back to Rwanda. And along the way, they came and met me, and then they opened this preschool. And since 5 years ago, they've been having daily worship at that place. And the school is very small, but over the years, through many donations and prayers from parents, from Korea, my school in Korea, they were able to buy more land, build a well, build a sink, install electricity. I mean, just little things here and there, but the children are truly so precious. They worship every day as well, using our curriculum, and they are able to do all the chants the same way that we've been doing here. The children, there are about 60 of them. They are absolutely adorable. I mean, absolutely adorable. Just the way they worship and pray, it is, you can see that that's part of their daily routine now, and they love worship. And it was a blessing to worship with them and teach them some new songs, and they have a little message for all of us too.
Everybody listen. Thank you. Thank you. Love you. Jesus is the Christ. Jesus is the Christ.
I was able to have a parent education as well, last minute meeting, but about 30 of the parents came, and I was able to really share what the vision is and what our prayer topic is together to raise the children. Some families are still Muslim, and yet they send their kids because they know this is the best school in the hill. It's like a hill. I mean, it's really a hill out of nowhere. It's a hill, and it's a very difficult way to get up there, but somehow God is using this small place. Their ultimate vision is to build an elementary school, eventually secondary school. So that area will become more developed, and they will eventually become a center for true disciples to rise up. After the parents got together, we had one parent, the representative, stand up and share a very heartfelt Thanksgiving message, and it brought tears to everybody's eyes. But these parents also have a special message for all of you.
Hello, everyone. Hello, everyone. Thank you for loving IVS. Loving IVS. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. We love you. We love you.
Yes, they're not English speaking, so I had to help them a little bit. But they're so precious. So our prayer topic for IVS is for the pastor, Reverend Sedacious, and his wife, Mrs. Basilisa. They are truly, truly amazing people. So resilient. They have 5 children. Or was it 6? They are absolutely amazing people, and they are standing in front of God with all of their needs. We're praying for the unity of the staff and spiritual strength. And like I mentioned, because of the salary being a big challenge, the day that I arrived, I came with the good news that I had salary support. But the day I arrived, one teacher had quit already to go to get a better job. And so I thought, okay, well, let him go and we'll see what other plans God has. So the second day I arrived, they managed to have interviews with 2 teachers, these 2 teachers right here, new teachers. And so we had the idea of giving them an internship for 3 months with the pay, that's $70, $80 a month. And they agreed to that so that they can both receive training. And then after 3 months, we'll decide who will be the head teacher. But a big prayer topic is an elementary school, because after the kids finish in kindergarten, they have to go to the public school. So there's no more gospel education. And the parents are really begging and praying for that. They even stood up, one gentleman, and said, "What are you going to do for us? We don't want to send them to public school." And I said, "What am I going to do? what am I going to do? I said, who should pray for this more, me or you? You need to pray. You have to pray and make this something that you really stake your lives on. Don't look to me. I don't got money. And so they really thought, okay, that's right. We need to pray and we need to get this answer. So I do have Pastor Statius and Mrs. Bazi. They really wanted to say thank you because I was able to take missions offering to them. We have 5 of these teachers supported for 6 months for now, because of the generous donations from members of CMC. And so Mrs. Bazi wanted to share her message.
I want to appreciate and say thank you for your support, for your prayers, and also seeing Mrs. Kim together with us have been a great joy to us. She's not all your prayers, all your greetings, all your gifts, and we appreciate it very much. And also thank you for the support for the teachers. Really, it was a very caring situation to us, seeing government employing all the teachers. So the private school we are having really a challenge to pay the teachers. So they have to move from our schools to go to the government school. But for now, we are really happy. We are really laughing because we have seen an answer, and we want to say thank you for being used by God for that blessing to come to us to be able to have the enough salary to pay our teachers. So we really thank you, and we continuously communicate and being together, united into prayer. May God bless you so much.
Thank you. And on the very last day, I came back to Nairobi for one night before flying out. Mr. Owiti picked me up, and a bunch of people came to say goodbye to me at the airport. We had a meal together, and it was just a blessing. Mr. Owiti has a nephew who's a pastor. He is the director of Child Evangelism Fellowship of all of East Africa. And it was such a blessing to meet him because that's CEF, which is a very international, large organization. But we were able to sit together and pray together and maybe see how God will lead us to help each other. There's this one brother named Pastor John, who's a member or student of Teachers College. I haven't met him personally at all. So he wanted to come and see me because he couldn't come to the training. And I was happy to see him. And as we were saying goodbye, he said, Deborah, one person is so important. I said, yes, that's so true. You are important. And he said, no, you are important. I said, thank you. He's like, no, you are important. I said, thank you. He said, the reason is because he grew up in the slums. He grew up in Kibera slums. And 20-something years ago, when I was in Kenya, I led a teacher training, and I was so convicted because nobody really cared for the children. Really, nobody cared for the children. And when I led this training, I felt God touching my heart, and I cried in front of everyone. And I said, why should I, an Asian American from America, cry for your kids? Why should I cry for African kids? You should cry for your own kids. And it became like a revival. And I was only 20-something years old. But this man named Omamo happened to be there. And then every week, or every day, the 3 weeks that I was there for 5 or 6 times, we would go together to the slums and plug him into a weekly ministry. So he would go into the slums and do weekly ministry with children and youth. And John was one of them. He came to know Christ through Omamo, who was that brother. And later I found out that Omamo is now his father-in-law. I was like, he is? I was so shocked. So he said, my father told me so much about you, so I knew you before I really knew you. And I just need to say, he told me that you helped him to be coming into the slums every week and save me. And now I'm a pastor of a church named Remnant Mission Church in Nairobi, and I am saving remnants. So he said, just see the fruit and the seeds that you planted 20-some years ago. It was a really blessing to hear, humbling and thankful, and makes me think that nothing is in vain when you do it for the Lord. So thank you so much for your prayers and support. And let's continue to pray for Africa together because there are so many brothers and sisters there who really, really need our prayers and support. Thank you so much.